What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Attic. I am your host, Jeremy Johnson, and you are listening to the one and only Jeremy's World 10. Yeah, I love it. And you know what? One of these days, I'm going to have to change that up and have a couple different ones. So depending on what the topic is, maybe, or depending on if we're feeling like gangster or something, change it up. I love the beginning of Andy Frisella sometime. Big shout out to that guy. That guy's the man. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's my throwback love. Andy Frisella. Check him out on any place that you can download podcasts, and I'm sure you guys have already heard of him because this guy is awesome, throwing down lots of knowledge. Well, guys, I have a topic I want to talk to you about. This topic to me is super important in my life because I believe without talking about this, I don't know that I would be here today, even trying out something as new as this podcast, because definitely in this time of day, people, or in this day and age, people would be, oh, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And of course, I even get that anyways. My wife was like, you're crazy, but not because I wanted to start a podcast, but because she was like you have any more free time? Like my time is already pretty much consumed. But I think that this topic is super important. I look forward to talking to you guys about this, and hopefully you guys are going to find some knowledge, something in this. Maybe take a different perspective on what I'm talking about when it comes to building. And that's my topic for today, is going to be about building. So let's just dive right into this. We have Caden. Good, Caden right there. All right, guys. So today, what I want to talk to you guys about is building. All right, guys, and maybe not necessarily building as much as I want to talk about builders. So again, I want to thank you guys for listening to this, and I hope that you will listen until the very end of this and find some real value in this. I'm making these because I wanted to try something new. I actually really enjoy coming up here in the attic and doing these podcasts, and I hope that as I continue to do them, I will get better. So please give me a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Follow me on Jeremy's World 10 on your favorite place to download podcasts. And as my favorite podcaster, like I already plugged him once, but here comes again, my favorite podcaster, Andy Frisella, would say that if you find value in this, if you got some kind of, good, I don't know, maybe let's just even call it a good feeling in this, that you would share it with your friend, a family member, or better yet, let's just start building. You have the ability to build, and that's what today's podcast, like I've already said, is all about, building. And I want you to be able to look back one day and be proud of what you accomplished in building. Maybe not necessarily you, it could be even the people around you. And I have to say that I am truly blessed in my life to come from a family of builders, my grandparents, my parents, and then with me, and then hopefully can continue that on with my children. But these people are just amazing people, and they have continued to build me and amazing things in their lives along with me, like I'm saying. So you may be thinking, well, yeah, you're lucky that you had someone teach you all about building, to teach you about welding, to teach you about building fans, and now you get to do that for a living. Well, I would have to say that you would be completely wrong about this and the builders in my life, because my dad was not a welder. My mom was not a welder. My mom has not really built anything like construction wise. And neither has my dad. They've not, what I would say, they haven't built a physical, tangible item. But what they did build was way better. And I am so grateful to have an amazing family, parents, and siblings that taught me these essentials to what I would say is going to help me not only succeed in life, but has definitely helped me also succeed in business. And I think that that is super important because even from my earliest memories of working or building, I can reflect on those and think about, man, there were so many people, not only building me, but they were building people around me. And I feel very fortunate for that. So starting when I was going to say around 5, I can recall going to work with my grandpa, who is my mother's dad. He worked construction. He was someone who wore every hat. And I can look at that and I can understand, how that works. And I would go to work with him. I would clean job sites. I remember being on the roof with him, cleaning up shingles off a roof. I recall him teaching, other people, building up other people, telling his employees how to handle jobs. And I may not have necessarily quite understood it, but I think that in my subconscious, it was all kind of just being stored in there. Now, during the same period in time, I remember, because I was probably in about first grade, I wanted to start recycling newspapers, and I wanted to make some extra cash for probably some Legos that I wanted. So I convinced my dad to wake up at 6 a.m., to beat the trash trucks once a week to collect the newspapers in order to turn them in for recycling. I can recall that even at the earliest age, I had an inherent desire to be an entrepreneur. Even though I didn't necessarily know what that meant, I just wanted to work. I wanted to make money. And my dad started to build on that, and he would wake up in the morning and drive me around. He could have easily told me, no, he was too busy. He wanted to sleep in. He didn't have time. He couldn't afford to do it. But no, not only did I save stacks and stacks of newspapers every week, but then I also needed a ride once a month to go and turn them all in for that cold, hard cash. And I will never forget getting those crisp $1 bills and counting them over and over again, thinking to myself, man, I am rich. I can remember sitting in the front seat to this day of our Volare station wagon counting that money. Now, my dad was teaching me about business and also how to make money. His small actions were building me. They were teaching me and to help me build. However, there was no tangible product being built. And that's what I want to make very clear in this. It's not necessarily about the tangible product. So you can see where I'm going with this. And this building wasn't just one-sided with my dad. This building continued with my mom. And during the summer vacations that I would have away from school, I would go with her to work. And I learned to paint. And at 8 or 9 years old, I'm definitely sure I was not the best painter, but I sure had fun and I'm sure I made a mess. But she sure made me feel like I was the best and I was accomplishing big things, painting preschool desks and cubbies and whatever else they could find me. Well, this taught me, and I knew from a very early age that if I wanted more toys or more Legos or maybe a new bike, if it was not a necessity in life, that I was going to have to go and work for it. And of course, I also at the same time would do the typical things. I did a lemonade stand in my neighborhood, which was awesome because we lived next to the DMV, so we would get a ton of traffic. So that was rad. I would also buy movies and I would rent them out to my family, to my sisters, which I didn't get to make a ton of money because my demographics weren't that huge, but it was still constantly trying to figure out the hustle and to work. And of course, like we said, that market isn't big, but I had big dreams. Now, another great thing is my mom, I'm going to say, is the queen of garage sales. And I would love getting up on Saturday mornings as we would scout out deals in the neighborhoods. And we did this way before it was cool. And while Gary Vee was out shopping on the East Coast, we were shopping on the West Coast, hitting up garage sales, trying to find all the deals. What I was learning was the art of bargaining, while I was also learning the importance of buying at a discount. At this very young age, I realized that I could buy 4 times more Legos at a garage sale than Kmart. What kid isn't going to choose 4 times more? And that was great. These small little things that my mom was building in me. And during the same time period, I can recall, and I remember it, I was in 3rd grade, and I would ride my bike up to the Smith's candy store up in Ramona, and I would buy candy. I would buy $5 worth probably, which was just crazy amount of money. And then I would take this candy to school and I would sell it to all my friends who didn't have the opportunity to go buy candy, but I would make a little bit of money. And I don't even know, I probably didn't make very much at all, but I was having fun and I enjoyed the hustle. And now I think back and go, what 3rd grader does this? My 7th grader wouldn't even want to do this. But I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the hustle. Now, why did I want to do this? I don't know. Probably because of my previous building that my family did in me, that they were doing constantly, but not only the building, but this. This is where I want to explain the most important type of building, because without one, the other I feel is useless. And and of course, like, experiences are great. However, the other part of this may have totally gone to waste if it wasn't for this part, because I feel that this is the most important part. And the positive, man, if I can get this out, the positive words of encouragement followed by the continuing building. So if I did something, it was also saying like, hey, great job. And my dad was and is the king of positivity. Not only was he constantly helping me with my crazy ideas, being my driver, my chauffeur, and even from the ages of 10 until 13, driving me every Sunday morning on my paper route, but he was backing them up with words. Hey, great job, or I'm so proud of you, or, it just never ended. And this building played a more important role than I think, role in building a strong foundation than teaching me about mechanics. Now, my dad could have taught me how to be a welder or be a mechanic, but I don't think that I would be where I'm at if he did. Now, what I think is going to be funny, that if we were to go and ask my dad, hey, tell me about all the great things that you built in your life, he would look at me crazy and look at me just like, what are you talking about? He would probably have to think about it. We might go back to his puppets or something like that. But on the other side, my mom, who didn't sugarcoat anything and would let you know what you did wrong, but also constantly gave you great advice to whatever the necessities that may carry you on further in life. If I were to ask her the same thing, hey, Mom, tell me about all the great things you built in your life, she may look at me also like I'm kind of crazy. Now I get it. Like, most of you guys are going to be like, dude, we could care less about your stories. And maybe, for the 27 people that were originally watching and now we're down to 6, I hope that you take the time to listen this far. If you've taken the time to listen to this far, you're understanding more of the importance that you have as a builder, that you have an opportunity to build in other people, that people built things in you which you are saving to yourself and not recycling or using to teach other people. Now, my family life was crazy and in a good way. And the majority of times, my twin sisters and my younger brother, we were all playing. And if we weren't playing, we were fighting. But we were building additional skills in each other that would forever continue to build. These skills would continue to build and help us be where we are today because we were able to communicate or fight and get angry and still love each other. We are all builders in our lives, whether you believe it or not. You have an opportunity right now to build up others around you more than ever. Today on social media is a prime example of people using this both positive and for the negative. And you need to be aware of that because you may not understand the long-term impact that you may be having on somebody else, but at the same time, you allowing that negativity to come out, that destruction versus building, that is something that you don't want. You don't want to fuel that inside you. And you will know that once you start building up other people, you're going to have a totally different feeling and want to do it more. And I want to build more than just vans or off-road vehicles. I want to build a legacy. I want to build up my family, my wife, my kids, my coworkers, and of course, the 6 of you guys that are still watching this. I want to help you guys utilize the tools that you possess and may not even realize it. You all have the tools to help. It may be to build you up, or maybe build others up, or maybe you just need to reach out to someone and help you build something together. And that's what's important in this time of social distancing. I encourage you to try to build up together and not just remain alone, that where it could eat you up inside and the destruction is worse. So please keep in mind when you think about building, it doesn't have to be a business. You don't need to build something massive. You just have to build something. And remember, I think that this building in my life started 45 years ago, and I'm constantly going through building seasons. Now, this may be the season simply using your time to learn something new, like I discussed in my last podcast, which I think is super important. We have more time than ever right now, and I would encourage you guys to learn something new. Take this time of social distancing to truly reflect on your life. Unplug from social media, unplug from the news, and take a deep breath. During these troubling times, I encourage you to reach out to the people that you haven't reached out to and to build something new. I am truly grateful as a child and as a young adult, there was no internet or social media. Could I have learned a lot more at a younger age? Yeah, probably. I probably could have learned a lot more. But I also think that there would have been a lot of distractions. And because I know my own personality, I do get distracted very easily. My goal when I went into work at a very young age, I never thought like, oh, I want to become a millionaire. I didn't want to become rich so I could post it on social media about the car that I drive. And you see that that's more of a priority these days than creating something good. My business happened, Weld Tech Designs happened from a passion or a mistake from doing what I enjoy of off-roading and building stuff. I'm building big Lego sets. My previous building experiences fueled this passion. My love to build Legos, like I said, as a child. To me, vans are just a big Lego set, just with different parts. Now, with a family, I love to say that I love how much I am being built by my children. And yes, you heard me correct. I believe that my children build me every day. They are building me with love. They are building me with patience, and that's a big one, with compassion and admiration, and their desire to be built. My job is to continue this and build them. 10 years ago, I would have never thought that I wanted to try to build a YouTube channel to help educate kids on cars. Never thought that this would ever be a desire. I love teaching kids about building, and I am so passionate and look forward to building Growing Up Garage and having fun with my children at the same time. And this is all possible because of the strong foundation that my parents built in me. And now out of the two people now that we still have watching this podcast, and I'm still yet to get a comment on any of my podcasts, so maybe we'll get one on this one. I will say that after my last podcast, I got a text from my dad that said, "Great podcast." And I loved that. He is still building to this day. He is still going out of his way to be a great builder. This type of encouragement fuels me to continue with this new adventure called Jeremy's World 10. And maybe my mom and dad and maybe my sister, maybe if I can sucker Caden into watching this, are the only, if they're the only people that watch this, I will truly find this successful. So only time will tell where this goes and the impact that it may have. But if it's, like I said, if it's just on my mother or my father, I hope that they truly understand how grateful I am for the years of building that they did in my young ages that continues to this day, that I'm able to pass forward into my kids to build them up and hopefully be even better builder than I am. And in this crazy time, you have an opportunity as well to build something great. You have the tools you thought were useless. Now is the time to build, to get out those tools and use them and not keep them buried in your closet. Let's not waste another day. Let's build something great together. And that could be a person. I don't know what that could be. You're going to have to find that out for yourself. And that's what I encourage you to do, is to take this time of social distancing and reflect, like I said, on yourself. Realize who it is that you could help build up, or maybe it's not necessarily that you need to take on the project by yourself, but work together with somebody. I couldn't make these videos by myself. I know that I needed someone else to help build with me. And that's why I have Austin. Together, Austin and I do a really good job. And that's the thing. You have to understand that not all projects were meant to be built by yourself. And that's the strength in your weakness, because so many of us think, well, I just need to be able to do this on my own. I can do this on my own. I'm good. If I just did this a little bit on my own, then I would be perfectly fine. And no, we don't have to do it on our own. We need to rely on the people around us that can help build us to be that better person that will help us succeed, that then you may want to go and do that own building on your own. So that's what I want to encourage you to do, is reach out. Like, we're saying social distancing, and I'm telling you to socially get closer to somebody else. And I'm not talking in the physical sense, but I'm talking in the verbal and emotional sense of mentally, how can we build somebody else up? Who is it that we could help? Who is it that we haven't talked to in a while that we should go, hey, you know what? I should just reach out to this person and see how they're doing during this crazy time of 2020, which who would have ever thought? And you guys all know what I'm talking about, and I don't even need to mention it. But it's unfortunate. But in every unfortunate situation, there is an opportunity to make something, to build something better. So I encourage you to do that. I want to genuinely thank you guys so much if you have made it to this point in my podcast, in my rant, in my craziness that I'm calling the attic. And if you found a remote like even just a little bit of like value in what I am saying, or understand to it or relate to it, please share this with somebody, because I'm sure that there is somebody out there that could use hearing it. And that's the whole point of this, just to encourage and help. This is the tool that I was given the tool to just jab. And I don't mean punch jab. I mean, just talk jab. And so I love talking to people. I'm a very people person. And if you've ever met me, you'll know that. So I'm going to leave it on that, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please smash that subscribe button, as I'm really trying to grow Jeremy's World 10 on not only on YouTube, but you can also follow me on your favorite podcast place to download, which is going to be iTunes, Stitcher, Google. I'm missing one, I'm sure, Austin, aren't I? Apple, iTunes. Well, I guess it's not iTunes anymore. It's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So anyways, guys, eventually it'll show up. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this craziness and my 2 cents on building. And I'm going to close this out by saying, thanks, Mom and Dad. I love you very much. And that's it for Jeremy's World today. What? They're like prematurely. We got to get the full thing going. See you guys next time.